and welcome to Nonprofit Narratives. My name is Flo Hammond, and I am a CASA volunteer. CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates for Children, and that's what we do. We advocate for children in foster care. With me are Ms. Adrienne Jerome and Mr. Micah Moscovis. Can you guys introduce yourselves?
Yes, my name is Adrienne Jerome. I have been a CASA supervisor now for 6 years. I help to promote and support court-appointed trained volunteers to be the eyes and ears of abused and neglected kids in the foster care system.
And Micah?
My name is Micah, lifelong resident of Opelousas. I'm very proud to be from Opelousas, and I'm a father and a husband. I've got one daughter who's now 20 years old, and I've been my role with CASA is as an advocate volunteer, and I've been doing that for about 8 years, maybe going on 9 here shortly.
Very good, very good. What about CASA's mission? Now, our mission as CASA volunteers is to support children in foster care. We call ourselves the eyes and ears of the court, but the voice of the child. And we want to make sure that children, abused and neglected children, are taken care of when they're taken out of the home. We advocate to make sure that they have their needs met. So what about CASA's mission makes you passionate about your role in the CASA organization? And Michael, you can start first.
Well, a big part of our goal is to provide or to ensure that the child will have a safe and secure home, but a permanent home. And so my role as a CASA volunteer is to gather information, be an objective eyes and ears and voice for the child, but eyes and ears for the court and the judge, so that way he can make the best decision for this child.
Very good.
Well, it gives me a great sense of joy and relief to know that there's someone advocating for children that's not able to advocate for themselves. So I actually enjoy seeing the positive outcome of the case from when it first starts.
Very good. So like I said, I am a CASA volunteer as well, long-time CASA volunteer. And a lot of times people say, what does advocating look like? And so it can look like, you guys know it can look like a lot of different things. It could be setting up visitation for siblings who are in different foster homes. It could be providing help with homework or tutoring. It could be providing clothes for a special event through our community. Micah, can you tell us a little bit about some of the things that you've done as a volunteer?
So yeah, in my circumstance, which one of the cool things about Casa of St. Landry Evangeline is they do try to match you up with the right child. And so I've asked for children that might have disabilities, because my daughter has disabilities. And so I've been very fortunate. They've given me those cases. And a lot of times what that means, most of these children will have an IEP. So I might gather educational plans and information, interview teachers, get with therapists, and really to go through that information and try to present in a court report a non-biased view of what's in the best interest of the child. So advocating to me is separating myself as, a caseworker has their jobs to do, and my job is to make sure that sometimes, take a better look and to make sure that the basic needs of the child are being met and that they're in a loving environment.
Very good. And so one thing I love about CASA is that we can influence children, and we're with them through the time that they're in foster care. Yeah. And as some people may know, foster care can be a long time, anywhere from a year up to 4 years, depending on the case. And so we build those relationships with the children, with the families. And we're always so excited when the case is closed, because that means the child is going to be in a permanent, stable home. So let's talk about what makes CASA and its role so important in the lives of foster children, but not just foster children, the greater community. Adrian?
Well, I think that, I know that children are our community, so therefore, CASA cares. So somebody has to do it. So as an advocate in the community, we're looking out for the safety and the well-being of the children in the community as a CASA.
Okay. Michael? Anything to add?
Well, yeah, sure. I'll say this. A child finding themselves in the system is very traumatic. You can only imagine to have their what they knew as family life being interrupted. So to be that consistent presence in their life and making sure that they're meeting the right developmental targets will help them to be, a productive and happy person, which will eventually make happy and strong, productive adults. And I think that will benefit the community, obviously, statistically as well. Children who have a CASA are less likely to enter the foster care system again. So I think the broader benefit to the community is we'll have happier people and more productive people,
Absolutely.
and functional people.
So, and to piggyback on what you said, Micah, that is a very little known statistic, that kids who have CASAs usually don't go back into the foster care system. Well, we have a higher rate of kids staying out of the system, because unfortunately, when you have a child in foster care, and you guys know this, you see them, usually you don't just see them once, you see them over and over, because the parents may not get the help that they need, or the child is returned to a non-stable home. So the fact that we are making a difference in the greater community by making sure those kids are in a safe place, that makes me feel good as a CASA volunteer.
Yeah.
All right, so let's talk about a little bit about some of the events that we work at as CASA volunteers, or you're a staff member. But what about some of the things that you just really like participating in as CASA volunteers?
Well,
Micah?
I'll first say this. With each case, of course, our goal is permanency. So it is such a joy to see an adoption. And so it's kind of a small event, but it's full of family and it's so joyous. So adoption's great, reunification is awesome. But to the broader community, some of the events we have, the biggest one that comes to mind is the Christmas party that we have. And it's just amazing to see how the cares of these kids just melts away. They feel so loved. They get to fill out a wish list, and a lot of times they get a lot of what they put on there. And it's just amazing to see the community come through, because all those gifts are donated, either directly with products, or sometimes just with cash donations, either through individuals and businesses. So it's really neat to see. I enjoy that.
I absolutely love the Christmas party as well.
Yes.
We have Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus come. We have games for the kids and the adults. We have music. We have lots of food. Every child in foster care gets a gift, and not just the children in foster care, their siblings as well get gifts. And it's all community donated, from the food to the gifts. We ask, we go out into the community. We have beta clubs from high schools and middle schools that donate gifts. we have businesses, we have individuals all coming together for this special time to make these kids happy at Christmas. Because imagine being away from home at Christmas, not being with your mom and dad.
Yes.
And one thing I found out as a CASA is that it doesn't matter what their home life looks like, the kids want to be with mom and dad.
Yes.
And so having that little time to celebrate and enjoy themselves, that makes a big difference. So I love the Christmas party as well, Micah.
Yeah.
One of the things that I do is wrap gifts, and oh my gosh, it's so many gifts to wrap. So if anybody's out there and around Christmas time and you want to help wrap gifts, please contact our CASA office. So we're always looking for volunteers because as everybody know, we have we can't do our work without volunteers. We have a very small staff. We are a nonprofit organization, and so we depend on volunteers to make our programs successful.
Yes.
And it's important. So is there any event that you like? We talked about the Christmas party, but is there any event that you like?
I actually enjoy them all.
Yeah.
There is the jamboree, basketball jamboree that's given every year, and also the Casa banquet that's coming up, which will be at the Evangeline Downs Casino. It will begin at 6 p.m. You can come out and enjoy a dining buffet, inspirational speaker, and come and take a chance on some great prizes with the raffle, and just come out and enjoy.
Yeah.
And you have the basketball jamboree too, which I imagine you know more about than I do.
And we're going to talk more about the basketball jamboree in our next segment. And we also will talk a little bit more about our banquet, because those are two very important fundraising opportunities. Because remember, we're a nonprofit, so we depend on the kindness and the generosity of the community.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you.
Looking to grow your nonprofit's impact? Join AOC Community Media for Nonprofit Nourish, a quarterly meetup designed to connect, empower, and elevate local changemakers. Each session features expert-led workshops, free headshots, PSA recordings, and a light lunch, all at no cost. Topics rotate quarterly, spotlighting a range of areas including storytelling, media strategy, and community outreach. Space is limited. Register now at aocinc.org/nonprofit, and let's nourish the good together. Whether you're just starting out or leading a seasoned organization, there's a seat at the table for you. Let's build a stronger, more connected nonprofit community, one story at a time. Acadiana nonprofits are the heartbeat of our community, and Nonprofit Narratives brings their stories to life. Produced by AOC Community Media, this half-hour series showcases local organizations, highlighting their missions, impacts, and the people they serve. From youth mentorships to environmental advocacy, each episode celebrates the voices driving change across Acadiana. Tune in to AOC Channels 1 and 2, stream at aocinc.org/watch, and download AOC's streaming app found on most streaming platforms. Real stories, local heroes. This is Nonprofit Narratives.
Hi, welcome back to Nonprofit Narratives. I'm here, Flo Hammond. We have Adrian Jerome and Micah Moscovis, and we're just excited to talk about CASA. So, we've been talking about CASA and saying what CASA is, but if somebody was interested and say, that sounds like something I might want to do, how can they get involved with the work of CASA?
Well, you have to be at least 21 years of age. You have to do some training. Also, a background check has to be done also.
Right, and so after the background check is done, there's an interview with someone like you where you talk to the person and see if they really want to be a CASA and what that entails. The training is about 32 hours, and we do ask for people to go to a court case. Because if there's somebody like me, before I became a CASA, I had never been to court. I didn't know what the inside of a court looked like. And so we want our volunteers to be comfortable. So we ask them to come and sit down through a court case just to see where would they sit. You know, where does the judge sit? Where, if the children are there, where do the children sit? And then they're given a case. So it's been about almost 9 years since Micah and I had our first case. But Micah, can you talk a little bit about the process after your training? If you can remember that far back about your first case.
Yeah, obviously, you know, like you, I wasn't too experienced with what goes on with the child in foster care, but we did the training, and you know, they equipped us very well. So for me, it was having. First of all, I had a lot of help. So I had a Casa supervisor who came along with me, because of course I was real nervous. But you know, he helped me to focus on the areas that need to be focused on, and each situation is different. So you know, my first one was you know, one child, and he was real fortunate to have a situation with his grandmother being willing to be a foster parent. So really, my job was to facilitate. Also, our first goal was to reunify. So we really tried our best to make sure that if we could reunify, if the mother could change her circumstances to get her back with her. So it, you know, it was a process of, you know, talking with the professionals, gathering records from doctors' offices, and presenting, you know, these court reports. And eventually, my first case, he was adopted by the grandmother, and it was really just a joyous event.
Yeah. So one of the main things we want to see in Casa volunteers is that they love children. If you don't love children, please volunteer somewhere else, because Casa may not be for you. You know, we want empathetic individuals, energetic individuals, people who have a heart for helping others. And one thing you said, Micah, is that we're never just by ourselves. Even after the training, I had my Casa supervisor. It wasn't Adrian, but I had my Casa supervisor who came with me to my first Casa visit. And I think he may have come to 2 because I just was that nervous about doing it. But we never just leave our volunteers out in the cold. We always, the supervisors are only a phone call away to answer questions, to help guide, and like you said, facilitate some of the nuances of each case, because each case is different.
If I could interject.
Yes.
So around the time when I first was interested, I was part of a program that was advocating for policy change for people with disabilities. But I really had a desire to also advocate on more of a personal level. So policy changes, you know, you're affecting a lot of people's lives. But I wanted to work with someone where I could kind of see results. And I just saw a sign that said Court Appointed Special Advocate. So I was wondering what that was. And so all I did, I just called. And y'all got me on the right path, and it's really been a blessing. So I really enjoyed it.
It is definitely a personal way to make a difference in the world, because what we do as an organization can change the life of a child.
Yes.
It really does. And we're so grateful to be able to be the hands and feet of the community to help in that instance. So let's talk about a little bit more about the basketball jamboree, because like we said, we are a nonprofit. So most of our funding comes from fundraising, donations. The basketball jamboree is every November. What high school is it at?
It's always at Northwest High School.
And that's in Opelousas?
It is in Opelousas.
Right. And it's usually about 8 to 10 local high school boys and girls basketball teams. I know I watch the girls, not so much the boys, because I'm so excited about seeing girls play basketball. But They come and they're in it's a tournament. We have snacks and we have things for people to eat, and 100% of the proceeds goes back into the Casa organization, back into the job that we do in the community, helping kids in foster care. And we also have another event. We talked about the Christmas party, we talked about the jamboree, and now we're going to talk about our annual benefit banquet. What does it benefit? It benefits Casa. And that is coming up. When is that coming up, Adrian?
The Casa banquet will be held on May 1st at 6 o'clock p.m. at the Evangeline Downs Casino. We will have a inspirational speaker, a dining buffet, and some great prizes if you want to take a chance with a raffle.
Right, and so I love the raffles. So,
I think the women tend to.
Yeah,
Yes,
exactly.
yes.
And so it's a great way to come and help support Casa, because we know everybody is not going to become a Casa.
Right.
And we respect that. But there are ways that you guys can support us even without being a Casa. And our fundraisers are one of those ways. And I know this year, our speaker for the benefit is Judge Sean Kaye Harden, a local judge in St. Landry Parish, an awesome lady
Yes.
who I'm sure is going to bring an encouraging word. And we also have, if you're interested, so for the benefit, we dress up, if you're interested in something like that, make it a nice date night for you and your husband. We have dancing, we have an amazing buffet, we have a cash bar, and we have an opportunity to mingle with other like-minded individuals who also want to support Casa.
Yes.
We also do a Friends of Casa recognition, and that's just to recognize we have so many great organizations, sororities, fraternities, businesses and individuals that support Casa. And so our benefit is a way to say thank you to them as well, and to recognize them and the role that they play in our Casa organization.
Yes.
So if someone was interested in coming to any of those events, or if they were interested in being a Casa, how could they contact us?
So you can contact the main office at 948-3550 or the Evangeline Parish office at 506-2272 or the Casa website at www.casastlandry.org.
And so just one more thing I want to bring out is that Casa St. Landry Evangeline, we cover 2 parishes. We cover St. Landry Parish and Evangeline Parish as well. We have total about 140, that number kind of fluctuates, about 140 kids in foster care in both of those parishes. Now, our goal is that every child has a Casa who is in foster care. That is our goal. That is what we work towards.
Yeah.
But we only have about 40, and that number fluctuates too, about 40-something Casas. So if someone is interested in becoming a Casa, there's more than enough work to do.
Yes.
You get to pick your the age of your child, or the age range, let me say that. You get to pick whether your child is a male or female, so that you're not put in a position where you're comfortable. We always want to make sure that our Casa volunteers are in a comfortable position and that they feel supported.
It is a commitment.
It is.
But, you're meeting with the child at least once a month. Usually it's at least an hour a month, but it might just be a few hours. I know personally that's something that's easy for me to dedicate that amount of time, so it's not so difficult
Right.
to be a Casa volunteer and to make a huge impact. I believe so in the life of a child.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And it for me, I gain just as much or more than I've given being a Casa volunteer.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, thank you, Adrian. Thank you, Micah.
Thank you.
Sure.
Thank you guys for watching. This has been Nonprofit Narratives, Casa St. Landry Evangeline.